Yeah, I do wonder what the future debate is going to be on gun control in general, if the idea is, well, all you need is a 3D printer, which are only going to get cheaper and easier to buy and all that. Well, what is that going to be when you are able to make an untraceable firearm in your home? I want to talk about this case of Cody Wilson, and Cody Wilson's known for 3D printing guns, and I believe he might have been the first person to fire a fully 3D printed gun. I believe it was called the Liberator, and it was like made out of plastic.
The Justice Department had concerns that prohibiting him from posting these 3D instructions on the internet would violate his First Amendment rights, and I think that the government had good cause to believe that, because the Supreme Court has never visited the issue of what they call instructional speech, like instructions. Can the government prohibit somebody from disseminating instructions on how to build a bomb, for example?
Can they? Yeah.
It's just unclear. The Supreme Court has denied cert. The status of regulations of instructional speech, like how to build a gun, a 3D gun, it's just in a First Amendment gray zone. Most courts are looking at it like an incitement issue. That is, that if the instructions themselves aren't likely to result in immediate violence or other illegal activity, then they're protected by free speech. And so I think that's why the Justice Department backed off here and said, okay, yeah, I think that we're going to be ruled against if we take this one to court. But now once people turn them into guns, they press the printer, and now they have, if you have a 3D printer, of course, now it becomes less of a free speech issue and now a gun control issue. And now the Second Amendment steps in. And here, the Supreme Court just very recently, in a 5-4 decision, again, the conservatives against the liberals, found a right of self-defense, to own a gun for self-defense, in the Second Amendment. This was in 2000, just 10 years ago, even though the Second Amendment's been on our books for hundreds of years. But the thing is, once it's a fundamental right, then almost no one can touch it. But what's happening is that the lower courts are upholding gun control laws almost as much as they have in the past. Not quite, but almost as much. So they're sort of disobeying the Supreme Court's mandate.
What is that tension like? I mean,
so what's happening is that then these lower court cases are appealed to the Supreme Court, and they're denying cert. They're just saying, okay, we're not going to hear them. So they're avoiding the issue. And Justice Thomas, who's a real pro-gun rights, it seems, person, is writing these dissents saying, how can we call the right to own a gun a fundamental right and yet deny cert in these cases where they're upholding all these regulations on guns? So he's dissenting to the court's refusal to hear these cases.
Yeah, I do wonder what the future debate is going to be on gun control in general, if the idea is, well, all you need is a 3D printer, which are only going to get cheaper and easier to buy and all that. Well, what is that going to be when you are able to make an untraceable firearm in your home?
Well, again, it's going to come down to a case that comes to the Supreme Court saying that the government is going to regulate it, saying, no, this creates too much of a public safety issue, and the case is going to come to the Supreme Court, and they're going to argue this violates these Second Amendment rights you've recently recognized. When that case comes back to the Supreme Court, it's going to depend on probably the political leanings of the justices, which, again, it should be a government of laws, not a government of certain individuals and what their political views are.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed our video. If you have any questions about the First Amendment or free speech in general, let us know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and make sure to click the little bell icon so you get notified anytime we release a new video.